Welcome back, Extraordinary Striders. I'm Coach Christine, your fairy run mother of finish lines and flight itineraries. Today, we are going global because if you've ever dreamed of crossing the finish line under the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, running through Tokyo's skyline, or taking your victory photo, kind of like I just did recently at the Sydney Opera House, you are in for the extraordinary episode that's going to help you do this, because my guest today is Victor Ortiz, founder of Destiny2Sport, one of the world's leading running tour companies specializing in the World Marathon Majors and the Super Halves. We're going to talk a little bit about that because you guys may not know quite as much about them. He's helped runners from every single continent earn their 6-star medals and now beyond. He's helped them discover new destinations and create unforgettable race weekend experiences. I can say this from personal experience. Here's something extra magical too, though. Destiny2Sport also serves as the official international tour operator for all of my Run Disney fans, helping runners combine their love of travel with the most enchanting races on earth. Now, my friends, from the streets of London to the castle line miles of Walt Disney World, Victor has built a community that brings runners together across finish lines and continents. He's run these races. He has personal experience with them. So much great insight. I am going to shut up now and let this pro come on and give us all the tips. Welcome on in, Victor. Glad to have you here.
Hi, Christine. Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm very glad to be here in your program. Thank you very much.
I'm so excited. Victor, I just have to say, I've been wanting to have you on forever. You are so busy because you take care of your runners so much. You're always traveling. You're always keeping on top of all the different things. So thank you so much for taking time to share your wisdom with us.
Thank you to you. We were planning this for a month ago, but I've been traveling a lot since Sydney, I believe. But now I have a couple of days just before I'm flying to Chicago this weekend. That will be very, very busy and excited for us.
We're going to talk a little bit about how you actually get some sleep, because I'm curious about that, because I don't think you get very much sleep, my friend. But first, let's start at the beginning. How did you first fall in love with running?
That was in 2009, 2010. I used to be a soccer player, and then in 2009 I got injured. And then I was looking for another sport to practice, and then I started running just for fun and for help. And then I decided to do my first 5K in 2011, and then from there I started practicing the sport. I get involved. Then I did my first half marathon in Miami 2012. And since there, I've done 18 marathons, more than 30 half marathons. So that transition from soccer to running made me love the sport.
I mean, I can see the tie-ins because football, soccer there's such a huge component of running within that capacity. So I could see that transition. How did it feel, though, going from a team-focused sport to more of a solitary sport?
That's a good question. Is at the beginning it's hard because when you're in a team, there's like more activity. You interact with other people, and the competition is different as well as a team. Mm-hmm. And then when you start running at the beginning, it's hard. Doing it alone by yourself, it takes some time to enjoy that sport. It takes some time. Once you do your first race, 5K, for example, then you start understanding how it works, how you can feel better practicing. But it's hard. The transition is hard.
I mean, I can now understand why I feel like it's so important when you do your tours, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too. I do feel a really strong sense of community. There seems to be a very team-focused effort. So I could see where your background likely ties into why you create that team focus within your tour. It's because, again, that's kind of exactly what I felt that weekend at Sydney. So that leads me to the next question. How do we go from being a runner in 2009, 2010, tackling Miami Marathon to creating the Destiny2Sport that focuses primarily on running and tours?
I did my first half in Miami. Then I at the same time, I started doing triathlons, Ironmans, half Ironmans. And then I was focused more in triathlon than running. Then I did my first marathon major in 2013 in Chicago. And I did it as a training for a full Ironman. Yeah. So running, it wasn't my first sport. Right? Okay. I did soccer, then I started doing running, then I started triathlon, and I started competing in triathlons. And then running was like to help me to improve my triathlon skills, right? And then I started traveling, doing triathlons, Ironmans. I went to Miami, I went to Puerto Rico, I went to Muncie. That's a town close to Indiana. And then I started traveling with triathlons, and then I started getting involved more in traveling, right? And then I found out when I went to Chicago that there was like an opportunity, because I saw so many people in that event compared to a triathlon. Triathlon, you see 2,000 people. And then in a marathon, you have like 50,000 people. And then I said, here's something, because I have hard time finding out the hotel in Chicago in 2013. And I said, there's something here that I can do. That started in 2013. Okay. And then I started traveling. And then I say, like 2014 and 15, I have to do on a business that mix tourism and sport. I didn't know which sport, but I know that something could happen if I joined those two activities.
I mean, I have to first of all say that I was there at Chicago in 2013. That was my first marathon as well.
Great.
Because it was 2013. Never did I think, as I'm looking around and I'm soaking everything, like, I think I need to put together, like, there's an opportunity here. So I love that your mind worked that way, because yes, I can see it. I think one of the things that I hear from folks when they're tackling the majors, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, is how overwhelming the logistics can be, because there are so many different aspects. So it makes perfect sense to think of how do you provide people with the opportunity where they can just focus on what they need to focus on, which is having a good, strong race weekend versus all of the anxiety of the logistics. And some, of course, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, are definitely much more logistically taxing than others. So I can't wait to get into that, because again, as we had a chance to chit chat a little bit in Sydney, you had some really incredible insights as to the experiences that you have had, both as a runner and now as really leading thousands of individuals towards these finish lines. So with that said, my friend, I love that we both started at Chicago. I think a lot of folks here do, but I would love us to kind of look at the majors from the angle of kind of how they would fall in race season, except with Sydney. We'll talk about that one last. So first up, of course, would be, when I think of the traditional race season, I always think of it kicking off in the fall season. And now that Sydney is at the helm of it, I do think that one's very interesting, but I again want to leave that a little bit more. So let's start with Berlin. When did you tackle Berlin personally, and what do you think of it now as a tour operator?
Well, let me tell you that Berlin was our first major as a tour operator in 2018. We start in as a marathon travel company in 2018. I started a company in 2017 doing sports, any sports, but I started what you saw in Sydney. I started in 2018 with 10 runners.
Oh, okay.
So our company started in 2018 in Berlin Marathon with 10 runners, plus me and Cindy, my wife. who is my partner in the business. So we were 12 runners. And then Berlin for me is special because it's the first one. I have run it twice in 2018 and in 2020, 22nd.
Okay.
And it was the first time that I break the 3 hours mark. It was in Berlin as well. So it's special. The city for me is very special. The course is a really nice course. If you like to run, you can run very well. If not, it's not a hilly course, so it's very easy. It's crowded in the course. So it's the first one that I recommend. If somebody wants to start in a major, I always recommend Berlin because the course and because the pricing and the offer, you can get more, a better product with less price. And then it's a city that you will enjoy and you will want to come back. So
absolutely. I kind of think of it from the perspective of that Berlin's, for me, as kind of primarily focused in US, is the best one to start off with internationally because it does have the least amount of logistics. And while there is potentially a language barrier, everyone speaks English. It's much easier to kind of get around. But again, I love the course. I love the history there.
Yeah.
Incredible that it has a very special place for you as the first to kind of kick off. I'm curious, since Berlin was the first probably for that fall season, was it the only one that you guys decided to tackle for 2018? Or were you already like, we're going to do Chicago next?
No, it was the first one.
Okay,
so the only one in 2018.
Okay. So it was your first and only focus for 2018.
Yeah.
Clearly it was successful because now we are here in 2025 with many, many other races under your belt. What tip would you give someone that was going to travel or race Berlin that they should know or keep in their back pocket?
Weather, for example. Well, sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's hot, but weather is an issue. So always be prepared and train in hot weather because you never know. So the weather is something that you have to consider in Berlin. Just the last 5 years, we have cold, rain, hot. So in your training process, you should be prepared for or raining, or you have to be prepared because weather changed in the last 3 years, for example.
Absolutely.
I have changed. So that's like the main thing that you should be aware in your training process before Berlin.
So when I think of this, I automatically think of the fact that like, don't skip those rainy runs. Don't necessarily plan all of your runs to be on the treadmill, avoiding the heat, because all of those things can help. And I do think, and you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, as to your opinion, I think it's always easier to acclimate if it's a cold weather run day and you've been training in the heat versus the other way around. So definitely, I would agree. I know that 2025, we saw some pretty warm temperatures in Berlin, which of course can make it a challenge for PRs, but still at least you want to be prepared to have a strong finish. So that's a fantastic tip. What other advice would you give maybe specifically for like preparing for like maybe jet lag or maybe some of the course cutoffs that people are worried about with Berlin? Is there anything that you would think of from those perspectives?
Yeah, well, jet lag is always important, at least to be on Thursday. Don't fly. Some people arrive on Friday. I don't recommend that. You should arrive at least on Thursday so you can recover from the jet lag. On Saturday, you're going to be ready. If you can get on Wednesday. Actually, all our plans for Berlin start on Thursday. Because then then we do on a shakeout run on Friday. You can be active yourself and be ready for the jet lag. So yeah, I'll try to arrive on Thursday. That's a good time to get there. What was the other question?
Course cutoffs and navigating those course cutoffs that people can be concerned about for Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin. The cutoff I think is like 6 hour and a half or 7 hours. What we recommend is if you are like close to the cutoff, if you think you're gonna do like 6 hour and a half or so, try to when you're gonna register in a corral that you can start a little bit early, so you can not be cut off.
Right.
So you have the time. So
padding.
we always when we gonna, because we have our own platform of registration, and then before we're gonna send the link to our customers, we tell them to register in a corral. For example, put 5 hours or 4 hours and a half, so they can be in a closer corral and can avoid the cutoff.
Got it. Okay, these are great advice. Great advice, because I know people get very nervous about that. All right, my friend.
For example, in Sydney, we have a group. They were runners of 6 hours and a half, and all of them we recommend them to register in a 4 hour and a half.
Right.
And all of them start in an early corral, and they could finish their race very good time. So it was very good for them not to be pressured.
It was successful. Yeah, because of course there is that, you don't want that extra heightened anxiety on the course that day either. Okay, so this is again why when you go with someone who has this experience, you're able to have that opportunity of the wisdom being passed along to you. So again, I had such an incredible experience at Sydney. So thank you again. Now, my friends, we're going to make our way through the traditional travel season. You're heading off, you're packing your bags as we speak to head to the windy city of Chicago, where hopefully there is no wind on race day. Tell us a little bit about what your experience would be, or what advice you would give for the folks that are heading to Chicago.
Oh, Chicago is, for me, the easiest race in terms of logistic, because everything is in close to the Millennium Park. And our hotels are walking distance. If you are flying from United States or from Latin America, there's no more than 3 hours flight, so you won't have that jet lag problem, right? So the weather most of the time is good. Sometimes could be cold, so you have to be ready just in the start. When it's cold, be prepared with your clothes. But most of the time is it's a good weather for running, like 50s or like 50s. So and it's a flat course. Really, it's the flattest course, I think, compared to Berlin. So is you can enjoy it more than other ones. So for me, it's like the easiest in terms of logistic and preparation. Is flat, so it's not a hard preparation compared to other ones.
I do think it's Berlin for my first international was easier logistically. Chicago for my first international for my first local domestic was definitely, or my first race at all, my first marathon was definitely a little bit easier logistically, because I had no clue whatsoever when I saw the Verrazano Bridge and I decided I must run New York City. I had no idea what I was getting involved with logistically, my friend. So let's make our way to New York City. I think that this is one of those behemoths of there's so many options. It's quite the day. So we're making our way to New York City.
but in Chicago, what Chicago has is that the hotels are very, very expensive in the main area, close to the Starlight.
You're absolutely right.
Millennium and the Michigan Avenue, downtown, or Magnificent Mile. So that the hotel, that's the main issue for runners in Chicago, is to find a good hotel close to the start line in terms of price. So there's where we help runners because we have a good hotels. We have the Marriott Magnificent Mile, and we have the Trump Hotel. Both they have a good location, and we can offer a good package, so runners can be as close as possible than of the start line.
So I'm going to make a little caveat right here and say that one of the reasons why I particularly wanted to go with your tour group over the other tour groups that specialize with running as well is that you choose hotels that if I was booking this on my own would be the hotels that I would be choosing. And for the record, I also will say, and that was just like one of the preliminary before I really got to know all the things that you offered. But friends, when you're thinking about these majors, and most of these hotels that are the ones that Victor is able to obtain for these tour packages, they can book up a year in advance. I remember for Tokyo having to have like all of these different reservations even before I knew whether I was going to be able to get into Tokyo and do it. So navigating that extra stress is definitely not, it's why do it when you could go with the tour operator that can handle all of that has those connections, that's able to take care of that with the room block. So yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. I remember with Chicago, even back then, how expensive it was a little bit of a shock for me, a price sticker shock. That's absolutely true. So thank you for that reminder. As we talk about New York City, though, I will say that it is one of the most exciting I would say it has a great energy. Chicago does too. Berlin does as well. But New York City kind of has its own little bit of energy. But it's exhausting to think of all the different logistics in different boroughs and the starting lines and all of those different facets and logistics. So tell me a little bit maybe about your experience running New York City. Did you do it as a tour operator or did you do it before you became a tour operator?
I did it as a tour operator.
Okay.
In 2019.
Okay.
I run it in my first year as a tour operator.
Okay.
And New York, I don't know what does New York has, but people want to repeat it. And when they finish, they say that that's the best race. In terms of logistics, it's complicated. It's complicated to get to the start line, and it's complicated to get out from the finish line to come back to the hotel. All that is not easy compared to Chicago, compared to Berlin. But in the race, the start in the Verrazano Bridge with the music and all that's special, and all the course is also special because crowded. You cross Brooklyn and Bronx and Queens, and then the Fifth Avenue, and then the Central Park. So there are like emblematic landmarks that make New York special. And actually, the weekend, you can feel in Times Square, in Manhattan, Midtown, runners in everywhere. That you don't feel that in other cities like New York. And international, especially from Europe, Europeans, they love New York. They come to New York for 5-6 days, and then you can feel that in the city during the weekend. So it's I don't know, it's like it's
electric. It's electric.
Yeah, it's electric. That's great.
Yeah, it's such a fantastic experience. I always say, though, whoever I'm talking to that day in whatever race they're working for is my favorite because they all have so many special experiences that you can really take away. So with New York City, it is a logistical behemoth. My friends, if you are at all a little bit of an anxious traveler, it is incredibly hard to get into any of these. New York City is just one of those that is, and just do yourself a favor and skip all the stress and have these issues navigated by Victor and his pro team. But maybe for the runners, what would you give them? Let's just say they're all already getting ready. They're heading to the race morning. What would you suggest as a good tip that they should be prepared for on race day of New York City?
On the race day, the race start very early.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take the bus at 5 p.m. So
Mm-hmm.
take the breakfast, a good breakfast before you leave, and take also some food for the waiting time, because you have a long waiting time before the race start. You will get there like at 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. in the Staten Island, and you will have to wait. Some people will have to wait until 11. It's the last
Me, I'm
crowd.
those people. I'm those people. I remember specifically thinking, I've never had, because again, that was my first really big experience like that, where I was breakfast, lunch, and dinner were essentially all during the marathon time frame, from the start to the actually running the race to afterwards, walking after the finish line is such a long finish line shoot and getting back to meeting my significant other. It all went through all three meal times. So I love that you're telling people this. This is such a great, great, great tip. Do be prepared with that extra fuel for that day.
Yeah. It's a long journey
It's worth
before
it
you.
though.
Yeah, and then you will finish at 5 p.m. or 6. It depend of your pace. But talking about if you are a 6 hour or 6 hour and a half runner, you will finish at like at 5.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
our we do a pasta dinner the night before,
Mm-hmm.
and then the pasta dinner start early, 5:30 p.m. from 5:30 to 9 p.m. So you can have a good recharge of pasta.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can sleep early because you have to wake up early. And then we have breakfast in the hotel early as well at 5 p.m. So you can have a good breakfast and then be prepared for the waiting. So all of that's the issue in New York. That's all the start process.
Absolutely. I think it's one of those where again, navigating all these different logistics, from how do you get from your hotel, even what hotel to choose, or how do you navigate getting the start line, how do you navigate getting back, and having you take care of that after the race is so fantastic. But I love that tip, because I don't think that people realize how long of a day. Actually, New York City was the first time that I could say that I quote unquote got an ultra day worth of running in, because from navigating, getting to the start line and the finish line, I think that at the end of the day, my Garmin said it was like 32, 33 miles. So it was a very, very, very long day. Okay, my friend, we're finishing up the official, like the original 6 majors of Berlin, Chicago, New York City for the fall season. We're making our way through the holidays into spring. And then the first one up right out of the gate in spring is another one that I think can be a little bit challenging logistically, is Tokyo.
Yeah.
So what is your experience and what is your tip or advice for folks that are tackling Tokyo?
Tokyo. That's a very nice race, because the culture is different.
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo is special in terms of the culture, the city, and the race. And the race is a flat. It's not a hard course.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of turnarounds. So for some people that's hard, to see people running in each way. So, and then you have the start in one point and the finish in another point. Some people ask where I should stay. If I should stay in the start is in Shinjuku area, or I should stay in finish, that is close to Tokyo Station and Ginza area. We stay in the start area. We stay in Shinjuku. We have a nice hotel there. It's a Keio Plaza. It's just this is in front of the Star Line of the Metropolitan Building. That's our hotel. So we don't have to wait too early. We get to the Star Line very, very quick. So I prefer to stay especially in Tokyo, close to the Star Line. And then in the finish, you can come back. The metro and the train system in Tokyo is amazing. You have so it's easy the transportation is very easy in Tokyo. So I recommend to stay, close to the start, but it depends of what you want as well.
So friends, I promise this is not like where Victor and I sat for 45 minutes before we came onto this interview to discuss how we all agree on all the different points, because you guys know, if you've been listening to any of my episodes, specifically when I talk about navigating the majors, that is exactly what I say: stay close to the start line. While the transportation system is fantastic in Tokyo, it's also another layer of stress that you don't want to navigate specifically before you get to the start line. Afterwards, you're happy, you have your medal, maybe you're a little sore, but who cares? You can make your way back to your original hotel.
That's correct.
But the start line, you just want to minimize any of the stress that you possibly can have. And again, talking about the hotels that are hard to get, specifically, I'm not kidding, I had the minute I had it on my calendar as to when they actually would open up reservations so I could start holding rooms before Tokyo would even have their lottery or charity bids, anything of that sort, because they are so hard to get. So again, not navigating or having to worry about navigating the metro system or navigating how to get to the start line, how to really appropriately attend the different cultural offerings. With Victor, he can help you navigate those things. I am kind of curious, what would you say is a little different besides the culture? Because even going back to Berlin, one of the things that I love about Berlin is the friendship run that they have the day before, or like the difference with New York City and like the kids in the borough of Brooklyn, the kids there just have such great energy. What would you say about Tokyo that maybe kind of sets it apart that we wouldn't be able to find in some of the other majors?
Well, Tokyo, they have the friendship run on the day before. They have like different start time, and that's more like a community involvement or nations involvement. Just 5K in an area that is not close to the Shinjuku Ginza. It's like where is the tower, the sky tower, I believe. Did you do the friendship run?
Okay, so I'm sorry, I called it the Friendship Run in Berlin. It's not called that. It's the Shakeout Run that they have officially for Berlin, where you finish in the Olympic Stadium. I did not get to do the Friendship Run in Tokyo. Okay. I did Tokyo after the second year after it came back after COVID. And it went so fast. I wanted to, but it just went so fast. Okay.
But it's not that crowd. Well, Japanese culture is more quiet. So they are on the street, but you won't feel that energy that you feel in New York or Berlin. It's more in a spread city. You have like districts or communities, but it's like very spread. So you don't feel that energy that New York, like New York.
Yeah, it was. I was not sure if it was because it was post-COVID when I did it, or if that was actually just more of the typical cultural experience. But it is definitely much more of a respectful, quiet atmosphere. Still beautiful, still fantastic. Still, I'm very glad that it's part of the majors, but definitely it does feel very different. It does have a different energy.
Okay, I run it in 2023. Just after COVID, actually, we need to use the mask to get into the corral.
Yep.
And then in 2000, I run it this year, and it was almost the same.
Oh, was it? Okay. Okay. That's good to know. Okay. Well, good. Cause I was like, I wonder if my experience, cause I was supposed to do it in 2020 when of course they were the first major that started to kind of shut down because of COVID. So I was like, I don't know if my experience would have been different in 2020. So thank you for letting me know that it wouldn't have been that different.
And the expo, well, the expo is far from the start, and the expo is not well organized as US or Berlin, but as New York, for example, or
New York City.
Very Japanese. It's very Japanese. Lines and waiting, and they don't have too much stock in the official
merchandise.
So it's different.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. That's another great point, and we're going to talk about that a little with Sydney. How again, I know that you help folks navigate the expo because that can be really frustrating and difficult for folks, especially people who are really into merch. So I can't wait to talk about how you help people with that as well. I do want to talk about, as we continue going through the season, of course, the unicorn of unicorns, Boston. I do want to make sure right out of the gate that folks do know, as a U.S. entry, you cannot help folks obtain a bib for Boston, correct? They would have to be Latin American or a global international runner.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And not for US.
Okay. However, you can still help to navigate, because Boston, again, is another one where those hotels are expensive if you want to stay close to wherever everything is happening. It can be a little difficult to navigate. Most people aren't staying near the start line at Boston. So you tell me what your thoughts and advice would be for Boston specifically.
Well, Boston, as you say, Boston is, the hotels are the most expensive. In the 7 majors, Boston, they have the more expensive hotels in the start area, close to the Common Park and to the main, the Bolston Street, at the convention center. So the hotels there, you maybe could pay 100, 1,000 per night. So they are very, very expensive. You want to stay there. Everything happens in that area. Everything close to the convention center, to the expo, and to the finish line, and Copley area. So that's the if you run Boston and you stay in that area, you will really feel the energy of Boston. For me, Boston is like the World Championship of runners, and you can feel when you go to the expo and you go to the street, and you can feel everybody proud to be there with their jackets. But if you can stay in that area, that will be good. And then tour operators, we have better rates. Actually, if you can get a package to us, accommodation package through us, in a better price than booking the hotel by yourself. Yeah, we can get a really competitive rates from hotels. We stay in the Westin Copley, and that is just a couple of blocks from the finish line and from the expo.
Where us mere mortals, if you're just trying as a typical runner to get in, again, if you didn't already reserve it, then likely you're not going to find it. If you do reserve it ahead of time, because my personal experience is that I started to reserve things ahead of time, and I couldn't find anything. But when I finally did find something, I ended up going to Airbnb, and then I had all of my hosts start to cancel one by one because they realized that they were much more able to inflate the pricing that they had provided for me. So Boston, for me, because of the hotels, was not the same experience that I think anybody who was able to stay in that area that they would have had. Because as you said, that is where it's at, right there. You want to be in the hubbub of it. You want to be where the people are, essentially, to quote the Little Mermaid. And so it is magical. It does have that unicorn energy if you stay there. Very difficult to navigate that on your own. So this is definitely, even if you have your Boston qualifying bid, even if you went through charity, I would suggest that you look at working with Victor, because he is able to get you those hotels and get those logistics down in a way that you wouldn't be able to do on your own. So
excuse me, I stayed in 2023 in Cambridge. Yes, in the other side of the river. It was like a mile from the main area, from the command, and it wasn't the same experience.
No, I know it can't be.
And then this year we stayed with our group in the Sheraton. The Sheraton Hotel is connected to the convention center where the expo is, and there's the Providence commercial center, in that area. And the experience was completely different. You have the restaurants, you have people around, you have the bars, and then you have all the energy, and you can have a better experience as a runner, and as a tourist in that area compared to being just in Cambridge or just a mile from this area.
Yeah, 100%. It's almost like the minute you start to walk away from that area, it doesn't even take a full mile before you start to feel the energy buzz kind of start to come down, because again, that's where everyone's at. So definitely highly recommend. This is not the time to try to look at alternatives. You definitely want to stay again where the people are at. So that would be my biggest tip for Boston. The other big tip that I would have personally, I'm curious if you agree, is that because it's a net downhill race, make sure that you don't go out of that first 10K a little too fast, which is very hard for us runners to do.
If you do that, when you get to the mile 16 or 18, you will have a hard time to get to the finish line. Hard time.
Yeah, that could be why I cried during that time, Victor. It could be.
You cry in the Breaking Hill?
Yeah. No, Heartbreak Hill didn't actually make me cry because at that point I was so over it. It's like, it is what it is. I have no more tears to give.
The start of Boston is very fast. You're going down, and then you think that everything is okay. I will do my best. But no, you have because that from mile 16, from mile 16 to 20, I think, is hill.
That's really where it's at. That's where I would say that Boston gets that title of being tough. It's because those hills do come at a point where it's already hard to do that part of the marathon regardless. So it's a great experience though. So love that. Let's make our way to London. Nice. So finishing up for the spring races, tell me what your thoughts are on London.
London I compare London with New York. It's like, in terms of energy, they are like this. They are very, very tight. But London City is special. It's a nice city. We stay close to the finish line there in St. James area. It's close to Buckingham Palace and St. James Park, the Hyde Park. So London as a city is and in terms of logistics to get to the start line and when you finish to get back to the hotel is easier than New York and than other ones. In logistics is to get hotels also is not easy. It's very, very expensive to get hotels in the finish area, where are the best properties and close to the finish area. So and they are very, very expensive. And then if you move from that area to in other places, then you won't have a nice experience.
Again, same experience that you're describing. I wasn't able to get a finish line hotel. I ended up staying somewhere actually around Tower Bridge. And while the property was beautiful, while it was something that I loved, I wasn't able to get into the London after party feel. And like you said, the entire race is a party. So why cut yourself off from the experience if you're able to get in closer to where you really should be staying at? It's such a fantastic race. But one thing that I take away is exactly what you're saying. It's like New York City in terms of the energy. I personally think it's even bigger energy. What do you think about that? They
are really tight.
Because there's no Queensboro or Verrazano to the kids. Those are the two quiet points in New York City. There's no quiet parts of London at all.
That's correct. In London, you have no quiet place. And then we have our sheer point in the Tower Bridge, mile 13. We have and I think that's the most exciting point of the race. Everybody is in the bridge, beside the bridge. And when the runners, they come into the bridge, you can see their face, that they are really, really happy. They are excited.
Yeah, well, they
When,
just did a half marathon. That's why they're really, really happy, my friend. They still have a whole half marathon to go. But they
yeah,
don't. No, it is incredible. I always say that London, the crowds were so big, and this is actually 100% true. I kept missing the water stops. I was taking in so many things. There were so many big crowds, so much
yeah,
of a party that if it
yeah, yeah,
wasn't for the fact that there was the kindness of what I call stranger danger aid stations, I kept missing all of the aid station stops because it was just such a big atmosphere.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
def- Definitely goes down as one of my favorite experiences. I think everybody should have that experience. I did not, again, use a tour group at that point, went with a charity. In retrospect, if I was to go back and do these, I would absolutely go with a tour group and negate the aspect of all of the different details of things that I don't want to deal with, which is trying to get these hotels, trying to navigate the expos. Because even the
Yeah.
expo for me at London was a little bit, while it was easy to get to, it was still a little bit more challenging logistically, which I know that you do for your folks. We have just started touching this, like all the little things about all the majors. We haven't gotten into Superhouse. We haven't gotten into Red Disney. So I wanted to make sure that we get into Sydney, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Cape Town and Shanghai. And then maybe, my friend, we may have to discuss you potentially coming back to talk about the Superhouse and a bit more about Run Disney. So let's make our way to Sydney. Sydney, of course, is our newest World Marathon major. Officially last year, it was the candidacy race. This year it was the official major. They were very proud. The city was fantastic and excited, and there was a lot of energy regarding it. What is your takeaway and your tip for Sydney?
Sydney, I went last year to Sydney when it was a candidate. It wasn't a mayor. It was 25,000 people, a smaller expo, and it was bad as well. But this year, they did a great job in terms of all the race, or what they create. And I felt that it was a major. Many runners, international runners, as you were part of our group, so you are a good testimony of what the race and what the event, what we do with our runners. They have to improve the expo a little bit. We didn't have a hard time. We take our runners in our private bus on Friday. I knew that on Thursday it was the first, when they opened the expo, they have a really hard time. I believe that trying to find out how to do it. But that on Friday was much better. We can get into the expo very quick. It was well organized. We got our bips. We spent like hour and a half in the expo, and most of our runners, they found merch. They bought the jackets, so it wasn't that full. So it was very good. We arrived at 4:30 p.m. We prefer to go in the afternoon than the morning. In the morning, and
so you're not having to deal with the craziness. Yeah,
is too crowded. So what we do is we do our city, like a sightseeing tour, and then we stop in the expo. But it was very good for us to do that.
Yeah, so exactly that, Victor. I didn't feel like I saw all the social media posts about how horrible the expo was. I didn't think it was horrible because, again, the Friday, going on Friday versus Thursday, it felt like it was a night and day different experience. Do I think that there needs to be better organization? Even little things like how they queue up the lines? Yes. Are they still a very brand new major? Yes. Do we have to give a little bit of allowance for the fact that there's going to be some learning experiences? Absolutely. I mean, goodness gracious, I still learn something every single time I go out for a run or anything that we try to do. So I do believe that it will improve, but I do appreciate how you helped us to navigate that aspect and minimize the headaches that I think a lot of other runners experience. There was plenty of merch. There was plenty of still a race day experience or expo experiences that I wanted to do when we went. So I had no difficulty with that. I love So if for folks that are maybe more introverted, there seems to be a concern where if I go with a tour group, I'm not going to know anyone, or if I don't know anyone, I don't want to have to do all of these things. And I want to just right out of the gate stress that that is not how Victor rolls. He makes it where I call it kind of almost a buffet style, like Disney, like take as much as you care. There is an experience for everyone on his itinerary, and it's take as much, come and participate as much as you would like, or not as like, or kind of go with the flow of it. But definitely Victor and his crew and his team do make everyone feel very welcomed. I love the fact that you guys even somehow figured out how to navigate getting all of the different starting groups to the start line, because I think that was a little I would assume that'd be challenging for people to be able to navigate, and you made sure that that happened as well.
Yes. We try to make it easy for all the runners in our group. We try to connect, make like a group, to connect, to make a community, to they connect each other.
Yeah,
they can make friends. Yep. We organize activities, so you can participate if you want to. If not, you can do it on your own. Right. But all the activities are organized for in a moment that I know that will help you. For example, the shakeout run is a good moment. Absolutely. And a good time to do it. Yep. And the time to go to the expo, you are not in rush. You can take your breakfast and then you can come in the bus. I always recommend not to go on Thursday. What I recommend is you get to the hotel, stay relaxed, go out, enjoy the city, and wait for us that we will take it in a private bus. You will get your bib, and the time is like organized so you can take advantage of the week. And you are not in rush. We have we have our cruise at evening after the expo, and you have like 3 hours to do whatever you want. And we go by walk. The location of our hotel is I think is one of the best location in Sydney.
Exceptional. It's exceptional. It would have literally been the exact hotel that I would have chosen on my own, without a doubt. If I could have gotten a reservation there, I should say, because again, they all book out. Yeah, absolutely exceptional, because you put us in the middle of everything. It was at the finish line, very easy logistically to get to the start line. I think that if you on your own are trying to create an itinerary thinking of, I want to make this as good as I can of an experience of both touring the area and being prepared for my race, that's exactly the way that I would say that you set up the itinerary, because it's stuff that while you're able to get in some circulation, you're able to get in some movement, you're not like over tiring your legs, you're not necessarily over stretching anything, you're allowing for a lot of time for downtime for people to relax and get into the groove so they can rest up and be ready for race day. So fantastic with the itinerary. By the way, your swag may be some of my favorite swag that I've ever had. And that backpack has now went to hiking with me in Milford Sound. It went to the Aoraki National Park in New Zealand. I just took it on my Ragnar. So thank you so much for the fun swag, because I did not expect that much fun. It was a fantastic swag bag. So thank you, my friend. I want to talk about Shanghai and of course, Cape Town. But I do know that we are kind of needing to wrap this up. So let me ask you really quick, how can people get a hold of you if they are thinking that they want to do Cape Town, which we know, right? Let's be honest, it's going to be a major next year, isn't it?
It's going to be a major. It's
right.
It's a major. We are just waiting for the announcement, but it's
100%.
It's 100%.
So you may as well look into, if you're already thinking, if you have your 6 or 7 stars and you know that Cape Town's going to happen, don't wait for that lottery. Just go ahead and make your deposit, because there's no reason. If it means a lot to you to have the stars as soon as they come out, just go ahead and do that. Victor already has that tour package available. I definitely would highly suggest that. What are you thinking about Shanghai?
Shanghai is going to be a major as well.
Okay.
It's going to be a major. That's for sure. Actually, we will be in Shanghai this year. On November, we have a meeting there with other tour operators and with the organization, just to get ready for 2027. That it's going to be a major as well. They have everything, just waiting to their moment that will be next year. But Shanghai will be a major as well.
Okay.
We have been working with the organization. We have meetings with Shanghai organization in Sydney, in Berlin. They will be in New York as well. Then we will go to Shanghai to meet them. But they are in the right track to be a major.
So what I'm going to suggest, friends, is head to Destiny2Sport.com. I'm going to have that link in episode notes. There you can click entry, whether you're a US runner or Latin America, because the website is fully bilingual. From that point, you can look at all the different options. This is where I actually learned about the super halves, was because of all the information you have on the super halves, which we have to talk about at some point. So I have to squeeze you in between all of these really important meetings somehow, my friend, to come back. One last question before we go and officially bid you adieu so you can catch all those important things that you need to do. You have one last bid that's been given to you, and it's magical because it's a golden ticket and you can choose to do any race in the entire world. What are you using it for?
Sorry again, the question.
One golden ticket, one magical bid that you can use for any race in the world. What would you use it for?
London.
Okay, my friends, you heard it here. That is the party. You have to make this happen, friends, if you're thinking about London. Okay, London. Victor, I cannot express enough appreciation for you taking time to talk to us and to give this much insight to folks. So we really would love to have you back on. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for helping runners to really chase these finish lines around the globe. So friends, if you're listening right now and your wanderlust is officially activated and you're like, I have some bucket list items I need to check off, you're going to go to Destiny2Sport.com. You're going to follow them on social. You're going to find everything from the majors to the super halves. And yes, of course, that really exciting new Cape Town package that we talked about. If you want to hear more about Victor and what he has, you could also sign up for his newsletter. And with that said, Victor, thank you again so much.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this opportunity. And I hope to be with you talking about super half around this day.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you.
Until next time, friends, remember the world is full of finish lines waiting for your footsteps. So keep moving, keep dreaming, and as always, stride extraordinary.